Welcome back to the garage, Bald Nation. This is another day, day 2 of this painting experiment. Back to Bald Nation Adventures. Getting ready to lay down the first coat of primer on this Fender. There's where we're sitting. We're definitely going to see some texture down here because I didn't spend a bunch of time getting that completely smoothed out, so there's definitely going to be some texture there, and maybe a little bit up here too, but got her prepped and ready to rock. Just want to touch base a little bit on the research that I did on figuring out what caused the wrinkling of the clear over the color. And from what I found, these spray paints, Krylon anyway, are solvent-based paints, and so the primer didn't have a problem, but when I sprayed the color on the fender, the solvents started to evaporate. And from what I saw, color has to sit for, if you're going to clear it, it has to sit for about a week before you put a clear coat on it. And what caused the wrinkle effect, called crazing, is the solvents evaporating from the paint. You know, even though it had been 24 hours, those solvents are still evaporating from the paint, and that's what caused the crazing from the clear coat. So we're going to try this again. I did see online a guy had sprayed Rustoleum paint and then cleared it and didn't have a problem. So I think what I'm going to do, my wife has a can of Cherry Red Rustoleum, and I think I'm going to swap with her my Krylon for her Rustoleum, and I'm going to try Rustoleum on this to see if a different brand of paint makes a difference. Coat 1 is on. We've got the primer coat done. I haven't hit it with any sanding paper yet. There we go. I mean, you can't really see much. A little texture here and there. Hit it with some sandpaper and smooth it out a little bit, and then we'll start putting some color down. So here are the two Cherry Red paints. One from Krylon, one from Rustoleum. And I don't know how well you can see on the video the difference between the cap colors, because the cap is supposed to represent approximately what color it's going to turn out to be, but this is a lot more the color that this paint turned into than this color. So just interesting. So anyway, I'm going to spray this today. I've got it primed and ready to go. We'll see what it turns out to be once I get it on, and we'll see if we have the same crazing issue. I bet we will. That's okay if we do. Just kind of tells me I need to continue to do some research and figure out. One of the things that I saw on some of the research that I did is the clear coat that everybody was spraying online that I saw was a either 2X or 2K. I saw it referred to both, but it's a two-part clear with a hardener. They didn't use just this single stage Krylon clear in their projects. They said it wouldn't last as long, or didn't last as long out in the sun. So, you know, if it gets to the point where I'm actually going to paint the car like this, obviously I would use better products than what I'm using just to test here. But this is just kind of proof of concept is what I'm shooting for here. So that can of Krylon Red, I was reading through the can, and I didn't see anything mentioned about clear coating at all. This Rustoleum can, reading through the directions here, it says apply a second coat or clear coat within 1 hour or after 48 hours. Apply clear in 2 to 3 light coats a few minutes apart. So like I say, the Krylon can didn't say anything about putting clear coat on it, so this one does. So I'm going to follow the directions on this, and after I get my next couple of coats on, I'm going to let it dry for just a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the clear coat on and see if that helps. What that's not going to allow me to do, however, is sand in between. So whatever orange peel there is going to be there in the clear coat. So it is what it is. Last coat of Rustoleum. Alright, it has been about 24 hours since I sprayed this Fender red again. Just give you a quick update on it. I was going to go ahead and spray it with clear within an hour according to the can, but ended up getting a piece of grass stuck to it. I've picked it off, but ended up getting a piece of grass stuck to it here, and kind of jacked up the finish. So I didn't clear it yet. I'm gonna hit it with some sandpaper. It looks okay, but it's got kind of a weird texture in it after 24 hours. So anyhow, I'm gonna hit it with some wet sandpaper and see if I can smooth out that finish and take care of that little dig and see what that does. I'm gonna wait 48 hours according to the can before I put some clear on it. See what it looks like, see what happens. So sit rep. So it has been well over 48 hours since I painted this thing. Been doing some sanding on it, trying to, because, well, it developed some texture, and so I burnt through the paint in a couple of spots trying to get through that texture, sanded out of there. So I just hit it with another coat of paint, and I threw it outside. It's about 6:30 at night in the evening. Little breeze. It's actually pretty nice out. Put it out on the driveway to let it cure a little bit. I just put the coat on, tried to sand out as much of the texture as I could, and it was all right in here that I was having the biggest problem. I'm not sure if I'm going to shoot clear on it tonight. I don't know. The can said within an hour or after 48 hours. So I guess I'll see how this coat of paint reacts to the previous 3 coats. One thing that I noticed when I was sanding in those spots there, I got down to some paint that was still tacky. You know, after a couple of days not messing with it, it was still tacky in a couple of spots. So I don't know if those areas where that texture was is where that tacky paint was. So I don't know if it was still having a reaction, if the solvents were still evaporating, I'm guessing. So anyway, that's where I'm at with this Fender experiment. I think I'm going to wait till Saturday. Today's Tuesday. I think I'm going to wait till Saturday and see what it looks like on Saturday and shoot some clear on it on Saturday. So we'll just let it sit in the garage and cure, and not even going to mess with it until Saturday, and we'll see how it goes.
Presenting tonight's colors are Lieutenant Colonel Patrick Galloway, Second Lieutenant Josh Fallon, Technical Sergeant Zachary Kloss, Airman Carter Wilson, and Airman Basic Derek Barnes.
We are back in the garage, everybody. Today is Saturday, and I believe we left off on this Fender on Tuesday. I believe it was, but just to recap, I sanded it down and I burnt through a couple of spots in to the primer, trying to get some crazing off, and so then I hit it with another coat of paint over top of the 3 coats that I already had on there. I'll give you a shot of that. There is some crazing. There is some crazing in this paint. It's not rough to the touch. You can just see some texture in it. So I'm gonna do a a little light sanding on this today, and up top here, I mean it's on every surface, not too bad right in this area here, but yeah. So anyway, I'm going to do a little bit of sanding on this, just to see if I can, if nothing else, just to dull the gloss, which I have to do to clear it, and then we'll see if, when I spray some clear on this, if it's going to wrinkle up and craze like crazy like it did. You know, it's been at least 5 days since I painted this, so any of the solvents in there should be fully evaporated by now. It's definitely not tacky to the touch, so we're gonna hit it and see what we get. Sanding is as done as it's gonna get at this point. It's 84 degrees and currently, and showing 66% humidity, which is pretty low for this part of the world. So here is where we're at. It's still drying a little bit after some wet sanding, and I have not alcohol bathed it yet, but you can still see some of the crazy texture in there, and that's fine. I'm not spending a bunch more time on this. It's good enough for government work, so to speak. So this section up here is the best. It doesn't have the crazing texture like the rest of the fender does, except on by the outer edge. So some areas are better than others. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe it down with alcohol here and get the clear shaken up, and we're gonna spray some clear on this thing today, and we'll see what happens. Coat 1, let's see what happens. Well, it's not wrinkling up like it was, so that's a good thing. See some of the texture over here by the fender edge, but so far so good. It's definitely not wrinkling up like it did last time, so might be a little bit of crazing down here at the bottom. Kind of see that. It's not near like it was. Along the edges, it's starting to craze up a little bit. I don't know. We'll see what it looks like as it dries. It's starting to craze up. I don't know. We'll see what happens. If this crazes up and looks like the paint finish did, then I'm gonna call this a epic fail, and we'll explore other options. This is just Lowe's paint and clear coat, so I mean, it's not automotive specific stuff. Yeah, it's not looking good. So I don't know. It's probably going to be in the fail category. Probably taking the L on this one. So, but we'll bring you back here and let it dry a little bit and see what it looks like. All right, we're taking the L on this one for sure. This thing is wrinkling up and bubbling up along the edge and edges. Couple of areas look okay. It's been about 10 minutes 10 or 15 minutes, I guess, since I sprayed the last coat. I did go ahead and put 3 coats on it. You can see big wrinkles there, up here on the edge. This is the area up here that, I mean, it looks okay. It's not crazing, but it's not high gloss by any stretch of the imagination. But there's really no orange peel to speak of. And I think with a little wet sanding and polish, I think it would look okay. So maybe if I started with a fresh spot that didn't have any other paint under it besides the original, it might work, but not really, because I don't know if you can see the little lump right there. That's the tape line from the first test patch that I did. So this section over here was fresh start, and it's crazing and wrinkling. So and then we come over here, and here's a nice big chunk of wrinkles, and you can see the crazing texture all through it. There's a varicose vein. So what have we learned? Well, don't paint your car with Lowe's paint and clear coat, or perhaps if you are more talented than me, it might be the environmental aspects. Maybe if I had a climate controlled paint booth, that may make a difference. I don't know. But this is that Krylon, and maybe it's the Krylon Clear that's the problem. But the Krylon Clear over the Krylon Red in last week's video, it looked bad instantaneously. This is the Rustoleum Red with the Krylon Clear over it, and it's not doing the exact same thing in the same pattern, but it's definitely not working. So yeah, I'm not sure. This one just blows my mind. I mean, that's a massive wrinkle for I don't know why. The paint's, I let the paint cure 5 days and even put it out in the sun a couple of different times through that time so it could kind of bake. So anyway, I guess this is not the answer to address that fender or the larger car on that Mustang right there. So we will keep searching. I might, next step for me probably will, I'll go to O'Reilly's maybe and find automotive specific materials and try that. I got a nice little spot right here between the clear coat and this hardware store paint to give a shot with some automotive specific materials and see if that makes a difference. But what I've done these last 2 weekends is not the answer. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it very much. If you have any suggestions on what I've done wrong, or some ideas that you can share that might make this possible, leave me a comment and let me know. I'd love to hear your opinions on how to do this and make it work and make it look good, because I have seen some other YouTube videos where they make a Rustoleum paint job, rattle can paint job, look really good. And I mean, there's a lot of elbow grease involved in that with wet sanding and what have you, but I mean, there's no way I could wet sand this to make it look like anything. So leave me a comment, let me know what you think. If you like this kind of content, let me know in the comments. Hit the like button. More videos are going to be coming on this Mustang and the motorcycle behind me, which is a dusty mess. That one's going to be next up, I think. It's early September now, and I need a couple of tires on this thing, and to get it back on the road for Biketoberfest, which is coming up in a month or so. So I'll be pulling the front and the rear wheel off of this motorcycle probably sometime in the next week or two, and getting a couple of tires put on it. So stay tuned for that. If you're interested in motorcycle videos, I've got those coming up. So appreciate you watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.